I was 12 minutes late, and I made sure every second of it was worth it. My lip gloss was popping, my heels were clicking, and my boss, he was fuming behind that oversized glass office like a Bond villain who hadn't gotten his caffeine fix. I slid into my chair like I hadn't just committed time card treason. Sarah from accounting blinked at me over her keyboard like I'd shown up naked. Honestly, that might have caused less drama. Then I felt it. The stare. Heat. Fury. Expensive cologne and judgment at 9:12 a.m. He stood in his office doorway, like Sin in a suit. Dark gray Armani, tie slightly loosened like he wanted to pretend he wasn't uptight enough to choke someone with it. Spoiler, he absolutely was. Miss Carter. My name wasn't a greeting, it was a weapon. Yes, Mr. Black, I smiled sweetly, crossing one leg over the other, lip gloss gleaming, sinfully cherry red. He didn't blink, just stared like he was mentally rewriting the employee handbook to include public executions. You're late. You're observant. He stepped forward. Just one step, but it was enough to suck the air out of the entire floor. Is that your final response? Oh, I've got more. I just don't want to overwhelm you before your second cup of coffee. A flicker, a twitch at the corner of his mouth. Almost a smile. Almost. He hated that I made him feel anything, that I existed loudly in a space he controlled with cold authority and quarterly goals, but I wasn't going anywhere, and he knew it. I should fire you, he said flatly. Then you'd have to admit you miss me when I'm not here. Silence, lethal, loaded silence. Then he turned on his heel and stalked back into his office. Door open, invitation unspoken. I pulled out my phone and texted my best friend. Me. He's mad again, probably imagining choking me with that overpriced tie. Bestie. Hot. Send pictures. I didn't send pics. I sent a smirk. And maybe I was 12 minutes late. But his pulse was definitely 12 beats too fast. And we both knew it. I brought him the wrong coffee on purpose. Twice. The first time I forgot the almond milk. The second time I went full disrespect. 2 sugars, splash of cream, no lid. It sloshed all over his perfectly polished desk like a caffeine crime scene. Mr. Black looked at the cup, then at me, then back at the cup. You're trying me, he said quietly. I'd never, I said, lips curled like a saint with a secret. The intern gasped from 3 desks away. I heard the subtle click of her camera app. Girl better get my good angle. He didn't say another word, just pointed to his office. The look followed, the kind of look that could undress you or fire you, or both. I walked in like I owned the lease. He shut the door behind me. Click. Not just closed, locked. It echoed like a bad decision. You think this is funny? He asked, stepping toward me. Slow, calculated. You think this is about coffee? I shot back. I've been late 3 times this week. This is about control. You're right. I blinked. He moved closer, inches away now. His voice dropped an octave, all smoke and threat. You want control? So do I, but there's a difference. I take it. The air turned electric. I could feel his breath. His cologne was doing illegal things in small spaces. And those hands, braced on either side of me against the wall, trapping me without touching me. Say something smart, he murmured. I know you want to. Nice tie, I said. Shame it's wrapped around the neck of a narcissist. His jaw ticked. 1 heartbeat passed. 2. Then he leaned in, like he was about to say something brutal. Instead, he stared at my mouth. For too long, I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then he backed off. Just like that. Like he'd won something I didn't know we were playing for. This conversation's over, he said. Oh, it was barely getting good. Get out. Miss Carter, I walked out, head high, heart pounding. He wanted me. I saw it in his eyes. And worse, he knew I knew. It was 9:47 p.m. I should have been at home, in pajamas, watching trash TV and eating ice cream straight out the tub. Instead, I was still at my desk, red-lipped, half mad, And working on a pitch deck my boss conveniently forgot to assign until 6 hours ago. The office was a graveyard of silence, everyone gone but me and the man himself, Mr. Black. Lights dimmed. City lights flickered through the floor-to-ceiling windows like a backdrop for poor decisions. His office glowed behind glass, and I saw him, tie off, sleeves rolled, top button undone. Dangerous levels of hot, inhumane. He stepped out like he felt me looking. "You're still here." I didn't bother hiding the bite. "Unlike some people, I actually work." He's raised a brow. "You call attitude work?" "Call it a coping mechanism." He moved closer, slowly. I swear he enjoyed taking up space. "I told you to have that deck done by 10. And I told you you're not my father." He blinked. "That's deeply unsettling." "Good. Then we're even." Something shifted. The air got tighter, meaner, hotter. He walked past me, then stopped. Turned. "Why do you push me?" he asked, voice low and rough. "Why do you hate me?" "I don't hate you." "Liar." He stepped forward. One step. Two. Until we were toe to toe, chest to chest, breath to breath. "You want the truth?" he said. I stared up at him. "Lie to me, it'll hurt less." His hand hit the desk behind me, caging me in. I didn't flinch. I leaned in. "I want to ruin you," he said, eyes locked on mine. "Every time you talk back, every time you walk in late, every time you wear that lipstick like it's not a weapon." "You can't ruin me," I whispered. "I already came broken." He stared, like he didn't know whether to kiss me or curse me. Then he did both. His mouth crashed into mine like punishment. Teeth, tongue, fury, heat. I kissed him back like revenge, hands everywhere, clothes still on but barely. My back hit the desk hard enough to knock a stapler off the edge. It fell. We didn't. Then he stopped, pulled back like he'd been burned, breathing hard, jaw tight. "This can't happen," he said, then stopped starting it. His hands curled into fists. I fixed my lipstick with one finger, then walked out. Again. This time, I didn't look back. But I felt him watching. The next morning, he didn't look at me. Not once. No eye contact. No snide remarks. No smirk. Just silence. And that was worse than any fight we'd ever had. I strutted in on time. For once. But the air was icy. Colder than the AC that always ran too high. Colder than him pretending last night didn't happen. Sarah from accounting raised a brow. "You okay?" "Why wouldn't I be?" "You're wearing black. That's your funeral color." I sipped my coffee and didn't answer. Inside his office, he was a statue. Head down, fingers moving across his keyboard like nothing existed outside that screen. But I knew better. His jaw was tight, his suit crisp, but his hands, fidgeted every time I walked by. He was cracking. I gave it 2 hours. At 11:03, I got the email. Subject, meeting, 11:15 sharp. Location, conference room B. From Mr. Black. No greeting, no smiley, just power in bold font. I walked in at 11:17. He was already seated, alone, lights low, jacket off. "You're late," he said, not looking up. I dropped into the chair across from him, like I belonged there. Habit. He closed his laptop, finally looked at me. The silence between us was heavy enough to choke on. "What happened last night?" he started. I cut him off. "Was a mistake." He flinched, just barely. "You said it, not me." "You were thinking it." "I was thinking we crossed a line," he said slowly. "And it can't happen again." I leaned forward. "Because I work for you or because you don't want to admit you liked it?" His fingers tapped the table once, twice, then stopped. "You talk too much. You think too much." Silence. Then he stood, rounded the table, stopped behind me. I didn't turn. His voice was close, hot breath against my ear. "You think I don't want to drag you onto this table and undo everything you're wearing?" he said, voice a low growl. "I do." Chills. "But I won't," he continued, "because I'm not stupid, and because you'll make me regret it the second you walk out of this room." I turned slowly, met his eyes. Who says I'd walk out? Another pause. Then he stepped back, hands in pockets, walls up again. Meeting's over. Coward, I whispered, just loud enough. He froze, but didn't turn. I left. Again. This time, though, I wanted him to follow. He didn't. But the next move was mine anyway. His name was Eli. Tall, hot, dumb in the best way. New hire in marketing. Walked in on Monday with a jawline that could compete and a voice like a Netflix voiceover. He smelled like ambition and cologne with too many vowels in the name. And the second he smiled at me, Mr. Black looked like he bit into a lemon. I leaned into it. Hard. Need help setting up your desk? I asked Eli, one hand on my hip, the other twirling a pen I didn't need. He grinned. Only if you promise not to distract me. Behind me, I could feel the heat radiating from Mr. Black's office. The man had X-ray vision when pissed, probably saw through walls and into my soul. 10 minutes later, I had a new project on my calendar. Presentation review, due tomorrow, 6 a.m. Assigned by Mr. Black. Oh, we were being petty now. Game on. At lunch, Eli asked me to grab a bite. I said yes, loud enough for half the floor to hear, including the CEO. As we left, I locked eyes with Mr. Black through the glass. He didn't blink, but his jaw twitched like it wanted to punch something. Lunch was fine. Eli was cute, easy. But the second I stepped off the elevator back at work, Mr. Black was waiting, in front of my desk, arms crossed, tie tighter than usual, mood, absolutely homicidal. Can I help you? I asked sweetly. He didn't answer, just stared me down. You assigned me a 6 a.m. deadline for a project that doesn't exist. It exists now, he said coolly. Problem? Yeah, I don't respond well to tantrums disguised as leadership. His eyes narrowed. Neither do I, he said. Which is why I'm wondering why you're flirting with interns like this is a dating app. Wow, I crossed my arms. You really think everything I do is about you, huh? I think you want a reaction. Then stop giving me one. Silence. He stepped closer, too close, again, always. I told you this can't happen, he said low, and then you spend the week poking the bear. I looked up at him. You kissed me, I whispered. Remember? He didn't flinch. I still remember the taste, he said. My stomach flipped. But this is the last time we talk like this. Sure it is, I said, brushing past him, intentionally close, shoulder to shoulder. He let me go, but his eyes followed like a storm cloud waiting to break. But by Wednesday, everyone in the office had heard something. I could feel it in the way conversations stopped when I walked in, the way eyes followed me to the copier like I was a soap opera character brought to life. The intern who once worshipped me now whispered in the break room like I'd committed corporate treason. The rumor? That Mr. Black and I weren't just arguing anymore. We were sleeping together, which we weren't. Not technically. Just one kiss, one desk, one blackout, moment of regret and ego and lust. But in this building, one was enough to bury you. At 2:13 p.m., I got the email. Subject, HR meeting. 2:30 p.m. from compliance department. My stomach dropped. I stared across the office. Mr. Black's door was shut. No glance, no save. For once, he was silent. So I went in alone. HR lady had a voice like elevator music and eyes like a hawk. There's been talk, she said, about inappropriate conduct, power imbalance, favoritism. I kept my face blank. Am I being investigated? Not yet, but we need to document this. And that's when the door opened. He walked in like thunder, tie gone, sleeves rolled, eyes blazing. Anything you need to ask her, he said. You can ask me. HR blinked. Mr. Black, she's not the one crossing the line. I am. Silence. I stared at him like he'd slapped me. I assigned her late projects to keep her near me, he continued. I've been watching her, following her, wanting her. He turned to me. I kissed you. That was me. All me. I couldn't speak. She didn't manipulate me, he said, voice hard. She's the only one who doesn't, which is probably why I'm losing my mind. HR cleared her throat. This is highly irregular. So is being in love with someone you can't have, he said, not breaking eye contact with me. The room shrank, the air vanished, and I realized this man didn't hate me. He wanted me so badly it hurt. He didn't talk to me after the HR meeting, not when I left, not the next morning, not when I walked in with a new blazer, fresh calls, and the calm of a woman who'd just been publicly confessed to and didn't flinch. But I knew he would, because men like him don't explode. They unravel, slow, silent, and all at once. It happened on the business trip. 2 days later, we were booked for a pitch in Chicago, just us. 2 rooms, 1 goal, sell the client. The second the plane took off, I felt the shift. He wasn't looking at me. He was watching me. We landed at 9 p.m. By 9:30, we were at the hotel. By 9:45, I knocked on his door. He opened it like he expected me. He looked undone, tie off, hair slightly tousled, glass of scotch in his hand, another on the table. I'm not here for small talk, I said. Good, he said, because I'm done lying. He stepped aside. I walked in. The tension was unbearable, like we were both holding our breath through a war. He poured the second glass, handed it to me. Why now? I asked. Why confess in front of HR like I was your emotional hostage? He didn't answer right away. He stared at me like I was something expensive, fragile, dangerous. Because I thought losing you would feel like control, he said. It didn't. It felt like I was bleeding out. I swallowed hard. I've worked my entire life to be untouchable, unbothered, he said. Then you show up with attitude and fire and mouth, and suddenly I'm checking your calendar more than my own. I laughed, quietly. You're a mess. I know. He stepped closer. But if I'm going down, I want to go down with your lipstick on my skin. My breath caught. He reached up, slowly, and touched my lip, traced it with his thumb. You drive me insane, he said. I want to fight you and fuck you in the same breath. I want to ruin your lipstick and still be the one to buy you more. Silence. Then I moved. 1 step. 2. I kissed him first. This time, it wasn't a war. It was a surrender. The next morning, I woke up tangled in sheets that weren't mine and arms that wouldn't let go. Mr. Black, Noah now, apparently, was dead asleep beside me, shirtless, peaceful, and probably dreaming about budget reports and bad decisions. I stared at the ceiling and thought, this is either the start of everything or the end of everything. By 9 a.m., we were back in the boardroom, suits on, distance back in place. Except now he watched me like he knew things, like he remembered where his hands had been, like he owned the memory. The pitch went fine, better than fine. We nailed it. Power couple energy on full display, until the client left and I turned to him and said, so what now? Do I go back to pretending I don't dream about strangling you with your tie or? He stepped closer, hands in pockets, eyes soft for once. I want you to stay, at the company, at my side, on your terms. I raised a brow. A promotion won't make this less messy. Number. But honesty might. He pulled out a small envelope. Inside, a contract, new position, equal footing, same company, different department, my own office, less control for him, more power for me. It was everything I'd fought for, and nothing I'd expected from him. I looked up. Why? He shrugged. Because the truth is, I don't hate you. Beat. I hate how much I want you. I smiled, slow, dangerous, victorious. Then stopped fighting it. 6 months later, he still drives me insane, still checks my calendar, still watches me across the conference table like he's undressing me with his eyes. And he still tries to control everything. But now, I let him think he's winning, because he still hates me, and I still love that he does.